Kamala Harris's digital strategy chief is admitting that a big part of the problem that she had in this past campaign is the left has lost its compass when it comes to sports and culture in this country. Rob Flaherty saying you don't get a national 8-point shift to the right without losing hold of culture. And here you can see sports and culture have sort of merged together, and as sports and culture become more publicly and sort of natively associated with the Trump conservative set of values, it got more complicated for athletes to come out in favor of us. It got more complicated for sports personalities to take us on their shows because they don't want to, quote unquote, do politics. Tim Walz, remember when we were told that Tim Walz was the best football coach since Hallis and Lombardi? It didn't wash. Nobody believed it. He goes on to say that, yeah, you can get Steph Curry and Steve Kerr and LeBron James, and Kamala had no problem having the celebrities come out and endorse on her behalf. But sports watching has become associated with right-wing culture, he says, in a way that makes it harder for them to reach people. Rob Flaherty there, digital strategy chief for Kamala Harris. Well, you know what? I'm going to translate this. Normal people don't like us, is what he's saying. Things have shifted. The normies out here in the world who just want to have an alcoholic beverage of choice, plop down in front of the TV, watch a football game, and watch it without it becoming an infomercial for whatever the particular social grievance is that the players involved in the game might have. Isn't that what most regular people want? Sports is supposed to be an escape. It's supposed to be entertainment. When you go watch a movie, do you want to hear Tom Cruise? If you go see Top Gun Maverick, you want to hear Tom Cruise just rant, preach to you about what his political beliefs are throughout that movie? No, you fucking don't, because you're trying to escape into a world of entertainment. You get enough of that in other places. It's why I leave Super 70 Sports as a generally 99% politically free zone, because I know that people want to go there and they just want to laugh. They want to look at sports. They want to look at the memories of music and TV and movies and culture that they enjoy. And so I leave it that way for everybody, because there's a time and a place. On this program, I'm always going to come at you unfiltered with exactly what I think, because that is a part of what this show is. And so, hey, go do what you want to do on your own time. LeBron James, Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, who is a one-man human, bad cultural political take machine. But we don't need to bake it into the cookie of watching the game. We don't need to be preached to by athletes right before the game, during the game, etc. Because we're trying to be entertained. I sometimes wonder, in this culture of ours that's gone so far off the rails in so many ways, what Andy Rooney might think. Andy Rooney was my favorite thing about 60 Minutes. The older I get, the more I understand where Andy Rooney was coming from. Do you ever wonder why everybody who voted for Joe Biden has 7 different colors in their hair? Do you ever wonder? Do you ever wonder why some people think a guy with a dick should be able to compete with women in women's sports? Now, what sense does that make? Andy Rooney's head would have exploded. I give him about 15 minutes in modern America before he says, you know what, fuck this. I just want to go back to my own dimension. The 80s were too fucking fucked up for me. I don't want any part of what's ahead in 2025. My God, Andy Rooney couldn't have taken it. Let me go now to a man who can barely take some of the cultural bullshit that goes on nowadays. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star who joins me, as always, from Nashville, Tennessee, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, we're talking about a lot of stuff here today. I do think that we are starting to see the light bulb go off over some Democrats' heads now. Joe Biden, about 5 weeks or so left as the president of the United States. He's just doing all this stuff on the way out. Of course, you know he pardoned his son, Hunter, but he's been pardoning a lot of other pretty despicable people as well. And he's even starting to lose some of the folks in his own party, such as Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar. Let's take a listen.
This past week, he had this record number of commutations, 1,500 Americans, more than any president in any single day. Among them, though, there was a judge involved in a so-called Cash for Kids scheme that sent thousands of kids to jail for millions of dollars. A man who committed tax fraud at a cost of more than $1.6 billion, described as the most prolific, pernicious, utterly unrepented tax cheat in U.S. history. A woman who was involved in a $26 million scheme to defraud Medicare. Are you comfortable with some of these decisions?
Hit that for me, Tim. Can we get it back to where we can see the scouting report on the 3 people that she mentioned? Take a look at this. We got one guy here convicted for sending thousands of kids to jail in exchange for millions of dollars. I mean, a complete perversion of the justice system. Then you've got the guy who committed $1.6 billion in tax fraud. What do you think the government would do if you failed to pay $1,600 in your taxes? And do you think anybody would come to help you? You think the president would give a single shit? What about this? We got the other lady here who's got the Facebook empty avatar. Apparently, it was beyond the scope of CBS to find a picture of this lady. But she was convicted for $26 million in a Medicare fraud scheme. Okay? What possible rationale is there? Well, they've learned their lesson. They've done enough time. All right, look, I'm getting pissed off. Let's go back. Let's finish and hear what the senator has to say.
Some of these decisions?
No. There's also a man in Duluth that was running a major drug house, basically, and had all this money under his bathroom tiles, was also commuted. So the way I look at this is I also didn't agree with the pardon of the president's son.
Let's pardon the guy who had money under his bathroom tiles. That sounds like a guy that you want to pardon. What the fuck is Joe Biden doing? I'm going to give you a bonus what the fuck Ron today. And we're going to do it right here in the A block. What the fuck is he doing? We haven't even, and this is not even mentioning the one that to me is the most offensive of all, and that's the Chinese guy with 47,000 images of child pornography. Why on earth? Why on earth? Joe Biden, Joe Biden, Joe character is on the ballot Biden. Joe Biden, who told us in 2020 that character was on the ballot. But vote for me. I'm on good old Uncle Joe. I've had so many people tell me, well, Joe Biden's a good man. At least Joe Biden's a good man. How many times did you hear that? Donald Trump's a bad man. Joe Biden's a good man. I'm here to tell you, I bet that Donald Trump in a million fucking years wouldn't pardon somebody who had 47,000 images of kiddie porn in their possession. How can you claim to be a good man and do something like that? You can see Officer Dion Joseph here, his tweet commenting on that says, I don't want to hear Orange Man bad from you ever again. Donald Trump is held up as the boogeyman. All the bad stuff he's going to do, all the bad stuff he's going to do, all the bad stuff he's going to do. Hey, Democrats, how about you stop worrying about the bad stuff that you fortune tell all the time that Donald Trump's going to do and start looking at the bad stuff that your guy has actually done? Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. This is who you voted for. This is the administration that you told us that we had to vote for because Donald Trump was going to come in and he was somehow going to destroy America. Pardoning people who committed $1.5 billion, more than that. What's another 100 million to cheat the government out of, right? But we're going to let him out. And 47,000 images of child porn. Think about that. There's not 47,000 seats in a lot of stadiums. Okay, do you realize how much 47,000 is? How in the world is it justifiable? How in the world is it justifiable for the President of the United States to do that? If, in fact, he even knows what the fuck he's doing, Ron. The only thing that causes me to pause and blaming Joe Biden for all of this is he's such a hollow vessel at this point mentally that I'm not sure what he's actually doing, or if he's like Weekend at Bernie's and they're just putting the pen in his hand and moving it around.
Biden and his crew are just being assholes, Ricky. This reminds me of like a college kid that has already lost their security deposit on the apartment they were staying in, and they just destroy the apartment on their way out. They're like, you know what? I don't care. They're being assholes. You didn't even mention the fact that there's all this chatter right now about preemptively pardoning people. So I don't even know how that works. So let's just use Fauci as an example. How do you preemptively pardon somebody that hasn't been convicted of anything yet? So basically, they're admitting that he did something wrong, and they're going to, how does it work, Ricky? You pardon them for things that they might have done, I guess, like what he did with his son, right? Said from anything he did from 2014 on, he's pardoned. So is he just going to say Fauci, anything Fauci did from 2014 on is pardoned? Like, this is ridiculous. They're just being assholes, trying to burn everything on their way out.
I would assume that you could pardon him for everything that he did from his date of birth. If you wanted to go that far, I think it's within the powers. Again, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but it seems like to me the president can pardon whoever they want under whatever circumstances that they want. It's obviously a tremendous responsibility to have that kind of power. And I mean, look, just on its face, I don't even want to hear the other side of the story. There is no other side of the story. The Chinese pedophile, there is no other side to that story. There's nothing that somebody could come back and say to me that would possibly justify that. That person is a menace to society. That person should be locked up forever. That person is sick, and that person is a danger to children, in my opinion. Okay? Again, you tell me where the moral high ground is. I am tired of being condescended to and told, how many times have people who aren't in lockstep with the woke mind virus, how many times have they been told that they're bigoted, they're discriminatory, they're a terrible person, whatever? Fuck you. Look at what your guy's doing. Look at what your guy's doing. Scoreboard. Answer for it. Clean it up, and don't tell other people about their moral and ethical and personal failings. They're abhorrent political opinions, as has been told to me. I had somebody the other day who looked at me and said, Ricky, Fox News, really? Yeah, really. Do you know a better news source? Where are you getting your news? Ricky, you're affiliated with Fox News? Yeah, you're goddamn right I am. I wouldn't be seen in anywhere with CBS or ABC or NBC or CNN, MSNBC. Hot garbage. Hot garbage. You're brainwashed. You have been brainwashed. But, Ron, this is again where you find out that we're a different kind of show, Ron, because
Oh,
I would
transition
like
time.
to seg
Transition
out.
time.
I would like to transition. Look, I like Christmas songs. We're not going to talk about Christmas songs right now, but the 12 Days of Christmas is a favorite. Ron,
Your
can
true
you
love
take
brought
it
to
from
you.
like can you take it from the 12th day of Christmas, working backwards real quickly? I start to lose the plot like at the end of the song. I'm real strong on like the first half of the song.
I
But
think
it's
there's
like,
a pear tree in there somewhere.
Well, there is a pear tree, but it's like 9? Is it 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking? Timmy, hit me. Hit me. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. 7 swans a surfing, motherfucker. How about that, Ron?
That's a gnarly wave.
Some swans swim. Some swans swim and other swans surf. Somebody play Wipeout for that swan. I don't know, Ron. I've never seen a swan hang 10 before. Coming in there like Greg Brady in Hawaii back in 1972. Eric Adams, who has certainly changed his tune in recent weeks and months, talking about the realities that face both his city and the rest of this country. Of course, it happened right in Midtown Manhattan. Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, gunned down by Luigi Mangione. And Eric Adams commenting not only about the assassination itself, but about the culture of this country that is creating young people like Luigi Mangione. Let's listen.
Think about the shooter. Ivy League, grew up in an affluent household. His manifesto clearly is showing some signs of hating. Our children are being radicalized. I said this over and over again. And everybody's like, what are you talking about, Eric? Our children are being radicalized to hate the America, to hate the country that put them where they are. This person had all that one wants to have, but he hated everything to the point of shooting someone. And we better deal with the radicalization of our young people. And, people could, they could complain that I'm saying it, but I'm seeing it. I'm seeing our bench is hating the team. And we better start acknowledging and focusing on that. And so having dance parties, celebrating the death of someone, I don't support that.
Our bench is hating the team. Sums it up pretty well. I agree with everything that Eric Adams said there, and I've got 21 years in the classroom as a college professor, and that informs my perspective on this. I think he's exactly right. We have a lot of young people in this country who go to college and they graduate, they move on with a lower opinion of America than they had when they got there. Sometimes a completely warped vision of America, losing whatever love it was that they had for the place that they live, and that is fundamentally fucked up. You wonder how the legacy media, how the mainstream media is such garbage, how it is functionally been an arm of the Democratic Party and would still like to be. I don't think that we should just write off the mainstream media yet. Yes, Elon said, you are the media now. The tables have turned. It is true in the way that Americans consume media, and certainly there's been a great change in how much Americans are willing to trust legacy media. We're seeing that start to happen, but those people are still dangerous, and the journalists that they're churning out are products of these elite colleges and universities, such as Harvard, which the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression rated dead last among colleges and universities in this country for free speech Generally speaking, the more elite and affluent the institution, the more radicalized it is. We saw it at Columbia with all the Palestinian stuff, the protesting, the students who are, trying to wage some sort of protest, but at the same time, they're complaining because they're not getting water and all of this. These entitled, pampered, cosplay revolutionaries that are being radicalized at our colleges to dislike this country. And who do you want to blame for it? Well, it's a self-sustaining system. Alan M. Garber, the president of Harvard, it's being reported privately telling faculty that they need to rethink their messaging after Donald Trump and the Republicans' outstanding performance in November. Well, good luck. Good luck. Because Ronnie and I have talked about on this program many times, why is the left continuing to cling to these things? Because there's a tremendous amount of momentum. And see, infiltrating the colleges and universities with radical left, socialist type of thought, what you do is you create the next generation of professors who go back to the universities and they perpetuate the same radical left, woke thought, the Marxist thought, this extremist thought that produces students who are just aggrieved, perpetually aggrieved. You live in the greatest country in the world. Objectively, you live in what? Even if somebody didn't want to say that, you live in one of the 10% of the best countries in the world by any measure. By any measure. If you're looking at it at all with any objectivity, the advantages and opportunities that you have in America, I unabashedly say America is the greatest country in the world. But even if you don't agree with that, you can't look at America and not say that it is near the top of the top. So why are these people so pissed all the time? They're worried about their pronouns. They're worried about this. They're worried about that. This is unfair. That is unfair. America's bad. America is a country that oppresses people. You live in the greatest fucking place that you could possibly live. Do you know what human life was like? There have been roughly about 10,000 generations of human beings. We've only had television for what? A handful? We've only had airplanes for what? A handful? How many of those 10,000 generations of human beings have had indoor plumbing? How many had air conditioning? How many had heat in their house? How many had food, good food to eat, clean water, antibiotics? Let's just go down the list of all the reasons that you should be fucking elated every day when you wake up, because compared to people who came before us, we are unbelievably advantaged. Life was not a lot of fun back in the days when life expectancy was about 35 years and your offspring had about a 50% chance of making it to adulthood. And so here you are in 2024 with every advantage that you could possibly have. Every advantage, and Luigi Mangione particularly, every advantage that you could possibly have. Family with money, opportunity to attend an Ivy League institution, blessed with at least the IQ to make good grades and perform well in his classes. Angry enough that he goes out and kills a stranger on the street. I would submit to you that that is not a normal thing to have happen. This kid he got dealt a full house and he's played it into life in prison. And for what? And why? We have a lot of professors out there, I worked with many of them, who are more interested in going to the classroom and perpetuating an agenda than actually educating students. Teachers who view their classroom the podium that they're standing behind as a bully pulpit to push for whatever cultural changes it is that they want. You see it all the time, and it happens way before college. How many times have we seen the elementary school teacher who's decked out in LGBT colors, classroom full of LGBT stuff, all of this stuff being put out there for first, second, third, fourth graders, which has nothing to do with why they're there. Go promote whatever it is that you want to promote in your daily civilian life. But when you show up, whether it's to teach first grade, whether it's to teach seventh grade, whether it's to teach high school, whether it's to teach college, or whether you're a fucking professor in medical school or in law school, whatever it is, you are there to teach the students the things that they need to know to move forward, to get the knowledge they need to move into a career or to have basic life skills at the earlier ages, to be able to count, to be able to read, to be able to spell. You're not there to try to socially engineer the society that you want. But students are impressionable. They're impressionable when they're little kids, obviously, but they're very impressionable when they get to college because they're just old enough that they think they're adults. Technically they are, but they're still young enough that they're sort of like a fresh, they're like a fresh ball of clay. And you as a teacher, as a professor, in my case, have a responsibility to try to shape that clay at least a little bit in your hands to try to prepare that person for what college is supposed to do for them. And it has never been a situation where the thing that you're supposed to do is to just project your own thoughts and opinions, and that's what's happening all the time. It is a radicalization, and I don't think it's going to be easy to walk back. I don't think it's going to be easy to walk back at all. And that's why, as we take a victory lap, those of us who are happy for the common sense renaissance that we think that we're beginning to see in this society, be aware that your colleges and universities are still full of hardcore leftists who are going to be in the classroom trying to convince your children why they should buy in to the types of ideology that were just rejected in November. So the battle continues. I like to grade papers back in the day occasionally. I will tell you that grading papers was not the most fun part of the gig as a college professor. Really wasn't. I enjoyed the conversations. I enjoyed trying to get students to think in new and creative ways, but grading papers is a drag under any circumstance. And so this is a true story. Back about 10 years ago, I had a student who left a blank page in the middle of a multi-page term paper. And so probably an indication that I needed to take a break and go have something caffeinated that day, I drew Mike Ditka. And then I signed that piece of art for her, took a picture of it to keep for myself, and there it is. I tweeted it not that long ago. I hope she still has it. It might be worth something now. You never know. You never know. Take a look at that sweet bastard, would you? There's one that takes me back to the late 1970s and early 1980s. Maybe heading up to that with a Houston Oilers pencil, or maybe you know what? Probably wasn't the Oilers or the Buccaneers, because both of those they were too sweet to actually use. I was probably walking up there with a St. Louis Cardinals pencil and a New York Giants pencil. And you can hear it, and you can smell it. It's a multi-sensorial experience. Look at this for more than 5 seconds and you'll be able to hear it and smell it. It's a feast. Then you get those shavings out of it. Maybe your teacher would let you be the one who emptied the pencil shavings. from that motherfucker. Tell me that wasn't a highlight. Did you get the Zeppelin tickets, man? Sold out, but don't worry. We're on the rail for Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Look at those guys.
Wow.
That looks like the guy on the right in the front 100%
with the bow tie?
Looks like he's taking his pants off. Yeah. The pants are coming off at some point for that guy. He is going to expect somebody to stick $1 in a Speedo at some point in the evening, Ron. I can't imagine that's not part of his MO.
Man, I thought your Tokyo Giants hoodie was fire, but man, that vest bow tie combo, holy crap, Ricky, you need to wear that on the show sometime, a vest with a bow tie.
Maybe next year that'll be what the loser has to do in the NFL picks. This year it's an IPA. Next year it's dressed like the guy from Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Bottom left, is that Scott Baio?
That guy's religious. I don't know how the Lord felt about him being a member of Snap, Crackle, and Pop, but good for him.
We got problems in college football, and I can give you my word. Bo Prabula did not want to leave our program, and he did not want to leave our program until the end of the season. But the way the portal is and the timing of it, who is really running college football and making the best decisions for the student athletes and for our sport as a whole? To have a transfer portal / free agency going on right in the middle of the playoffs, there's just a lot of things that don't really make sense. And I know there's been a lot of discussions about, maybe a commissioner of college football, but I think it's pretty obvious we need that. We need somebody running college football. We need somebody that is not biased based on a conference.
All right, so there you hear James Franklin, head coach of Penn State, talking about the need perhaps for a commissioner in college football. And Ron, the question, again, we're not quite to WTF Ron territory, but the question that I'll ask you here is, Ron, is if asked, would you be ready to serve?
I will do it. And quite honestly, I don't think it'd be that difficult, Ricky. It's just common sense. Like, it's ridiculous right now what's going on in college football. It's, everybody say, oh, it's kind of like the pros now. It's nothing like the pros because, I don't know, give me a player, CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's under contract right now. If all of a sudden the Green Bay Packers get in his ear and say, hey, dude, we'll give you more money if you come to Green Bay, he can't go. He's under contract. College it's like the wild, wild west right now, and it is ridiculous. Teams are going to they're getting decimated. It's in most cases, it's the highest bidder. A kid is a little bit upset because he's not getting the playing time that he wants, and he bolts. There's going to be a lot of kids who go into the transfer portal and they just stay in the transfer portal because nobody's going to pick them up. And if anybody picks them up, it's going to be a lesser team or a D2 team. But something has to change, man, because it is just out of control. And it's kind of like the inmates are running the asylum right now. And, this is not right now an old guy yelling, get off my lawn, or yelling at the clouds. Like, this is objectively a problem. And James Franklin is right. Something has to be done about it. But it doesn't seem like it's that difficult. It just seems like a lot of common sense.
What else would there be other than getting this transfer business under control? I believe Kirk Herbstreit, your Buckeye buddy there, has commented before on how the scheduling could be done better. It seems like there's some weeks where we look at it and we're like, oh my gosh, this week that's coming up, it's pop your popcorn and you're going to be in front of the TV all weekend. And then there's other weekends that are just kind of like, there's only, a very limited amount of matchups that are exciting. Would having a commissioner help in creating a schedule that was a little more fan friendly?
I mean, sometimes you're just at the mercy of a team, right? Like sometimes there'll be a game on the docket that, in June looked like, oh, I can't wait for that game. But then it turns out that maybe one of those teams or both of those teams aren't very good. So, I mean, sometimes that's just kind of hit or miss. But the other thing that has to be done is if things are going the way they're going right now, I mean, Ricky, Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, at some point, those are going to be the only teams that are going to have any chance of winning national titles because we've got the money, we've got the boosters. They've got to somehow put, I mean, again, it sounds insane that we're talking about college sports this way, but there has to be some sort of a salary cap too, because otherwise, I mean, you saw what that kid at Michigan got, $13 million to play quarterback for Michigan. Like, dude, that's crazy.
Think about it, and think about for how long these athletes, student athletes, they couldn't get a nickel. Remember how we were told if one student gets a dime, that fucks up everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, right. And now we're just, it really is, it's professional sports. Like this idea, Michael Lombardi, right? Friend of this program, is going to be the GM of the North Carolina football program, which is it's a new position. But you know what? I don't know what to expect, but maybe in 5 years, every college football program will have a GM. I don't know what it's going to look like because we're in uncharted territory, Ron. I mean, college football is finding its way as it goes. And what those changes are going to look like in the coming years, your guess, I'm sure, is better than mine, but I don't think anybody can guess with a lot of clarity what college football is going to look like in 5 or 10 years.
No, I mean, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit when you said it's like pro sports. It's out of control pro sports. Like pro sports have like checks and balances involved and all kinds of things to kind of keep it somewhat fair. There's nothing. It is totally out of control. I mean, the fact that the guy at his name Larry who owns Cisco, $13 million to Bryce Underwood to flip from LSU to Michigan, like it's just going to become highest bidder. I think I mentioned this on the show. If I didn't,
and
I know
they're making their money, Ron. This is it. This is their chance to make money. So of course they're going to,
I don't begrudge these kids at all. Oh, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with the kids.
Gather those nuts while you can, because it used to be you didn't make anything, but you got your education, or you didn't make anything and then you went pro and you made a lot of money. A lot of these kids, like this is it. Like once their eligibility's over, and if they don't want to go play in the CFL or whatever, that's it. They got to go get a regular job, right? So they're in this odd position where they're going to have this window of crazy earning power. Yes. It's going to close. It's going to slam shut, hopefully not on their fingers. And then they're going to be a regular person after that, which is a head spinning change in the model that we've seen as well, Ron.
Yeah, I don't have a problem. Yeah, just to be clear, I do not have a problem with the kids. I mean, the kids should get everything they can. I'm just saying that there need to be different rules, or it is just going to be out of control. Right. I mean, we talk about Jeremiah Smith, our freshman wide receiver at Ohio State. The kid is potentially the best wide receiver in the country. You're telling me that Texas, USC, there isn't some booster there that's going to somehow get in his ear through his agent or whoever and say, listen, I know Ohio State's giving you $3 million. We'll give you $7 million to transfer to USC. Like, why wouldn't he do that? And it's just ridiculous. And they have to put some rules in there, or it is just going to be out of control.
We need great OutKick apparel and swag in our lives. And you can make that happen for yourself this holiday season by going to shop.outkick.com. That's right. We got everything there, from Thursday Night Mowing League material to that sweet DBAP hoodie. And if you know Clay Travis, you know what that stands for. We got all kinds of stuff here. The Saturdays are for yelling at the ref. hoodie. That one's hitting pretty nice. All kinds of shit there. All this and more. Shop.outkick.com. Just use our code HOLIDAY to unlock obscene savings. You're going to save so much money that you're going to feel like you're wearing a ski mask when you go into the OutKick store with that code, because these prices are so low. It's the next best thing to just getting a 5-finger discount, my friends, is all that I can tell you.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.